Well, that stopped rather abruptly. That was Can You Hear the People Sing? That was, of course, Beyond the Barricades. That was from Les Mis.
And I thought, how apt is that? Seeing the barricades being broken a couple of days ago. Joining us right now is Gary Moratori, who's a spokesperson for No Maccas in Tacoma. And so I call it the Burgeroff Report. I have offered McDonald's equal time, but they just don't care and haven't got back to me. Twice. Oh well, never mind. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Judy-Ann. Yes, Les Mis, very apt indeed.
Yes.
Can you hear the people sing? Well, hear the people roar in Tacoma's case.
Well, what is the latest news? Because every now and again you get a thing from John Fain or Tony Delroy at midnight, or you'll get a television thing. So
well, we've had national media all week because this is the contentious issue. It was very interesting. Tuesday of this week was the second day of a federal election campaign, and Neil Mitchell's program, I guess you compete with Neil Mitchell, so I'm plugging a competitor here, but Neil Mitchell's 3AW program led with the Tacoma story. This is a big issue. It's striking a chord with people outside of our community because they're realising that, corporations don't have the right to railroad people. We've put up the change.org petition. It's now at 81,000 people have signed that. That's the second biggest petition that change.org has ever done in Australia.
Really?
Petitions half that size have seen companies like Myer and David Jones change their corporate policies. So we're batting in the major leagues, so to speak.
Now, is there any way that the Yarra Ranges Council can put in an appeal to the civil, VCAT?
VCAT. Unfortunately, that ship sailed. After the VCAT ruling, you have 28 days. Logistically, we had a problem there. The council was in caretaker mode.
That's right.
So they couldn't approve a Supreme Court challenge because that's the only way you can challenge it. And then there's the issue of a roll of the dice with the courts.
Oh, yes.
If we had challenged it and we won, all that would have happened is it would have been referred back to VCAT, and we could have been in the same position again. If we had challenged it and we've lost, it would be a huge amount of money that the ratepayers would have to fork out, and that wasn't fair either. So we decided to move it from the legal courts to the court of public opinion, and that's why we're playing this game so hard at the moment.
Now, I noticed that, if there is a robbery or, a break and entering and you ring the police, you're lucky if you get one, 2 hours later, maybe 4 hours later. But suddenly, how many police were there? Was it yesterday or the day before?
2 days ago, there were 60 police on site.
60 police?
They called out the Public Order Squad. Now,
what was it called? The Public what?
Public Order Response Group.
All right.
Now, these are the guys that hold the line, so to speak. I think we used to call them. I think in the old days we called them the riot police. What was interesting, juxtapose that with the images on the nightly news last night of police raiding a bikie compound, and they did it with a third of the force they're using up here. So, these are dangerous criminals with weapons, etc., and they go in with 20 people. Here we are with mums and dads holding a legal protest, and they go in with 60. It's really strange. We're scratching our head.
Now, I did see on the television news last night a crane demolishing part of a building there. So what's happened now since that a couple of days ago?
Well, the buildings are in the process of being demolished. McDonald's couldn't get a unionised company to do it. Most of the companies have ethics. They've gone for the demolition company of last resort, a company called the BR Demolition, and they've crossed the line under police escort, and they've started to demolish the building. What was pretty atrocious yesterday is the director of that company, BR Demolitions, it was reported to me that he actually got up on the excavator, smirked and waved to the protesters and took their photo, then got back in and knocked down the west wall control of the Hazelvale dairy. Pretty shocking. And if that's the company that McDonald's want to be associated with, well, it's just another reason why we don't need a company with corporate ethics like that in the Dandenongs.
How extraordinary. I mean, I'm just wondering, do you ever have low-flying planes with the ability to parachute? Or a helicopter that could fly over, and a band of, SAS like-minded souls?
Oh, look, it's crazy.
SAS.
I mean, here's a corporation that is virtually using Victoria Police as their private security. Now, I'm not critical of Victoria Police. There's probably operational reasons that they're there. Maybe it's a safety thing. But, again, it was reported on commercial radio the other day that when the police go to an AFL game, because the crowds are large, AFL pay for that. So the question's got to be asked, is McDonald's paying for the VicPol attention here? If they're not, then someone needs to get involved and ask questions of the Chief Commissioner.
Aha. Right, okay. You've just spurred me on. I think I might make a call and find out.
Well, the other thing we need to know as well is the police were blocking what was a public easement, and we've had initial legal advice that they can't do that. Now, what it is the two titles, the title McDonald owned and the title of basically where the Bonsai Bar building is, they share an easement. Their titles abut each other, but the easement gives favour to the Yarra Ranges Council, which means that people can use that easement for what it's been designed to do, what it's been there for 60 years, and that's a public thoroughfare. Police were blocking us yesterday, and we believe that's an illegal move. We've asked VicPol to explain operationally why they're doing that, if they have a legal precedent for doing that. They haven't given us an answer, so that's another question that VicPol's got hanging over their head at the moment.
So how many police are on site during the day and at night?
Well, yesterday it certainly dropped back. There was probably, when I left the site, there was probably a good maybe 30 still.
30 police?
They had a presence there overnight. We got there this morning. We had national television again. We got there at 6:30. There was a handful of police. What was interesting, at 6:30 in the morning, there was police at inspector level on the site. So these are upper management police, highly paid police, up for a peaceful candlelight vigil. It's again, I'm shaking my head. I don't understand why we're being so over-policed. We're just mums and dads saying no to a corporation.
I know when they had the Save Albert Park issue on the 12th of December, which was my father's birthday. I think it was 1994. And they came and, cut down some healthy trees saying they were diseased, because I saw them.
Yep.
And from then on, they used the same theme of, a racetrack that we're spending, $30 million a year, or whatever it is, the figure that we've only finally just known, and to think that they could have done it somewhere else, legally, elsewhere. But the police there were the same sort of police. It was just a peaceful picket line, the same as yourself. And, the chap in charge, and Paul will remember his name, what was his name, Paul?
You mean the guy in charge of the technical response guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember his name was Emmett.
Emmett, that's right, Emmett.
Emmett Dunn. Yep.
Yes, and nice bloke, and he was all on our side, but he said, I have to be here. And
Well, he wasn't all on anyone's side. He was he was sympathetic to the protesters,
Yes.
and he was there. He was instructed to be there and do his job, and that was what
So
he
the
was doing.
police used to, yak away. They were just very polite and didn't sort of do anything. But obviously, up here they've been instructed with McDonald's, perhaps, to enforce things.
Yeah, look, I have to admit, personally, I think most of the police are on our side. Yesterday there was an incident, allegedly, where a police officer assaulted a protester. That protester was taken up the road to Belgrade Medical Clinic for treatment. Now, the doctor up there, Dr. Dennis Gratian, who's well known to this community, who's well known to the protest group, ran down to the protest site and demanded to see the officer in charge, and they wouldn't even engage with him. I mean, that's a respected man. So he stood there, basically berating the police. He was calm. He was passionate, and you could see it in their eyes that they realised that this wasn't right. You know, when you've got the local doctor coming down to read the riot act to a police force, something's wrong.
Gee. So, what happens now?
Well, they haven't got it built. We maintain the rage. McDonald's still haven't come out of the bunker. We're starting to take this story, well, we have taken this story internationally. We know that shareholders are concerned about this. There's corporate governance issues. Why are they using the Supreme Court to run civil actions against protesters? I mean, companies that have community focus that say that they're family friendly don't do things like that. And they're investors, and they're listed in an American stock exchange. Their investors would be concerned about such breaches of this case, several cases, sued to Greenpeace.
Paul was just
and
about
they
to
just
mention
kept it in the courts. They just kept it in the courts and spent £20 million on it.
And they did their own research, but it took years, didn't it?
Yeah. Now we're seeing parallels here that people protested. Some of the protesters had criminal charges against them, which they were happy to stand up in court and fight those charges, or know what their consequences were. So they were charged criminally, but McDonald's said, no, that's not good enough. Let's sue you as well. So they're facing the loss of their homes because McDonald's are not listening to the community, and they just want to just bulldoze this action through and get it done. Sad thing about it is that the business model for McDonald's is effectively a franchise operation. So when it's open, it'll be the franchisee that will suffer. It won't be McDonald's. It'll probably close up from lack of business, and they'll say, okay, you know what, we maybe should have listened to people. But the poor franchisee, it's going to be his superannuation, his retirement that's just going down the toilet because this corporation will not listen.
Well, keep up the fight, and we'll just see what happens in the next week or so. I'll keep tabs with you just
Please
to see.
do, Judy-Ann.
And I'm looking forward to hearing from McDonald's. I've put it out there twice. I haven't even had the courtesy of a return call. I haven't had the courtesy of an email. Nothing.
Well, they wouldn't come on the Today program. They wouldn't come on the Sunrise program. I think that speaks volumes.
All right. Thanks for your time this morning, and we'll
Thanks very much.
talk again.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We've been talking with Gary Muratori.